Swamp Thing living in my swamp today. I'm cold and damp now.
All right, welcome back to the Scare Value Podcast. We are recording remotely. Pete, how is everything from 5 miles away?
I think it started raining, but my neighbor stopped weed whacking.
Ooh, just a good update.
Thanks.
Ken, how is everything from 7,661 miles away?
Well, thanks for telling me. I had no idea. My neighbor just stopped weed whacking, and now it's raining.
Do you guys somehow live next to each other despite being 7,656 miles away?
I think I went all the way around. I might be his neighbor. I just stopped weed whacking, so
That would be the ultimate Shyamalan twist if he just lived next door the whole time.
We're on a 12-hour difference, so I'm always sleeping when you're always awake, obviously.
yeah, you're on the night shift,
Yep.
something.
I was going to try to start off with something really clever where I was going to be real quiet because we're doing a Quiet Place movies, but Pete's not allowed to whisper, so I decided it wasn't worth risking him trying.
P, you're not allowed to whisper?
No.
It's gross, right?
This one time, Pete, I'm going to let you whisper, and you can show Ken why you're not allowed to whisper, because it is terrifying.
I think I've heard it on this podcast.
I don't remember. Hey, guys.
Hey, Pete, stop it.
It's terrible.
Hey, buddy. Hey, pal.
The funniest part is when he does it for more than like 2 lines, he starts going over enunciating everything, and you whisper like this, and every word becomes a whole sentence.
Right before we came on, he was doing his inner monologue, and now I need to find a table to put down my beverage, like as he was walking up the stairs. It was really intense.
He narrates his own life to the most boring movie ever.
He really was. You'd be the first one dead in A Quiet Place, dude. We would
I
throw you outside.
Kitty pointed that out. You don't need to. I'd stand there going, hey, what's happening? Look at that thing. That's weird looking. I'd be gone immediately. There'd be no point.
Whoa!
Pete avoided watching these movies forever because he knows a kid dies right at the beginning. And I've tried to explain to him it's not this, grotesque, horrific thing. He's not getting dissected on screen. But Pete still avoided it for that long. And it makes me wonder, though, Pete, how long would your kids last if they had to be quiet?
Oh, when I started watching this movie, Kitty, my wife, was there with me. She'd never seen it either. She said all 3 of us would be dead immediately, me and the 2 children. She would probably make it for many, many months, but not us. We'd start talking to each other, pointing out cool things we see as we're being eaten.
Interesting. She thinks she'd make it so long because what did you tell me about watching the movie with her?
That she thought everyone was stupid?
No, that she didn't shut up the entire movie.
I was going to say, I'm not sure Kitty would last months, to be clear.
Ken, I've never seen this movie. I only know that a child dies at the beginning of it. I start watching it the other day with Kitty, probably like 2 days ago. I had to watch 2 movies in 2 days. I'm very tired.
Dude, you're productive lately, bro.
I am. It's those summer hours. But the minute we start watching it, Kitty starts attacking it and then asking me why all these things are happening. I have never seen this movie.
It's called A Quiet Place, goddammit.
It's a movie he's never seen, nor has he ever expressed a joy for, and he's being told to defend every decision in it.
For the entire first half hour, she's just, oh, that kid's an idiot. When the kid gets killed, which was horrible, Kitty said he deserved it. Because he's an idiot kid and he had it coming. He should know better. How old do you guys think that kid is?
Was
he
4.5?
Yeah, okay.
4, yeah, he was young.
I think Kitty gave me, I don't know what age she said, but she said old enough to know better. And that was her justification. But in The Quiet Place Part 2, they had Emily Blunt went back and she's looking at that little grave. And it says from 2016 to 2020. So he was 4. So I did the math. That's 4. So I don't know that he did know better.
So this isn't set in some possible future. This was just set in 2019 when it came out, 2020 when it came out.
Apparently so.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't pay attention to the grave.
Well, when you have somebody who is constantly there criticizing the first half hour, and that conversation kept going for the entire day afterwards, which I didn't watch that movie and finish it till last night, so I still had no answers for her.
Well, what'd you think? Did you like it?
Me? Honestly? It was too
Yes,
quiet.
Pete.
It was too quiet, Ken.
Well, it's in the title.
Well, yeah, but it was a little too much, which is weird because I thought there was, in part two, a little too much talking, but sometimes not enough. It was a weird mix. I don't know what was going on with number two.
Number two.
All
Speaking
right.
of number two,
Yeah, we have a list today.
You like that? Do you like that segue?
let's spread them apart so that they're not all on top of each other.
Hey, nice. Is that part of your list?
That's actually number 4.
Yeah.
So I went overboard with it. I Goldie Hawned it. It went overboard. So Ken, why don't you give us your top 10, and then I'll go later, and then we'll see if Pete has.
I overboarded it.
You Kurt Russelled it?
Kurt Russell didn't go overboard. Goldie Hawn did.
He jumped off at the end to go overboard with her.
Oh, that's kind of romantic.
Who's that chick from Splash? I splashed it.
Oh, Splash is a good one.
Daryl Hannah.
John
Daryl
Candy.
Hannah did. I went nuts on this one. Yes, that John Candy as a kid would drop the pennies and look up the girls' skirts. I remember that that was the first movie I ever saw in the theater. I was really enjoying that. I thought, what a good idea.
I should explain what this is. When we recorded, what episode was it? What episode were we recording? The last time the three of us were together, we can't remember what movies we were talking about, but one thing I do know, we were doing our top 10 list. We ended up doing horror movies. A lot of them ended up sounding like poops.
Yeah.
So we took it upon ourselves to create a top 10 list of horror movies that sound like poops. And now Ken will give us his list.
And if I could do comedies, I would do Splash. That would definitely be up there.
100%.
But let me say this too. I did way too many, Brian. I had a thought. If it's on my list, maybe just say it's on your list too. That way we don't all go to. I got too many here.
I have, Ken, I spent 8 hours one day and I had a list of 380 movies that sounded like poops. I pared it down to a top 10 and then a fairly substantial honorable mention list.
All right, I'll do this then. I will read, because last time we did a lot of them. I will skip over those for the moment, and I'll get to 10 without trying to hit those ones. Maybe I'll add one or two from the last one. The last episode had some good ones in there. Okay, let me start. I got I'll start with just a personal favorite, because it's Russell Crowe being an exorcist again, and it's called The Exorcism.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Also in that vein, The Omen. I think
Nice.
The Omen would be a good poop movie. Lost Boys.
Yep, that's a good one. I think I had that somewhere.
Rosemary's Baby.
I had that.
What is that, number 4? Is that number 4?
It's all number twos, Ken.
Okay, for my fifth number 2. My fifth. Let's see. My fifth number 2 is.
He should see a doctor.
I'm telling you, man. Oh, sometimes Aunt Martha does dreadful things.
Nice.
That's from
your diary.
1965, I think. Shit. Oh shit! I just lost it. God damn it! Okay, I got another one. Moonshine Meat Market Mayhem, 2016.
It's a great one.
All right. I got 3 more here. The Wrath of Becky.
Nice.
Soft and Quiet at number 2.
Perfect.
And I'm going to stick with my favorite one from the last one, Bones and All. I like that one.
That's a solid one.
Well, that's good. It was solid.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right.
Pete, did you make it? Did you do any of them? Or?
I didn't write down shit.
Okay. Well, that would have helped if you wrote down shit. You would have had a perfect one.
I didn't, though.
Okay. So
Did you write down Chud?
No.
I did write down Chud. Let's not do any more.
Wait, I did. Hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on. I did write down something before I decided not to bother.
You're up last.
All right. They'll give me time to find it. Let's see what you got there, Brian.
Oh, you want me to do my top 10?
Go for it in whatever order you want.
All right. Here's my top 10. The Purge.
Oh, nice.
Vacancy. Pieces.
I like that one.
Evil Remains. The People Under the Stairs. Burnt Offerings. My Bloody Valentine.
That's your best one. That's a good one.
Splatter University.
That's in the Monsters Inc. universe.
Children of the Corn.
How did I miss it?
And coming in number 1, The Midnight Meat Train.
You should have had Children of the Corn number 2.
I did have Children of the Corn number 2 for that exact reason. All right, I'm just going to read through all my things. I don't care. Here's my long list of honorable mentions.
No.
The Blob, The Void, The Aftermath, The Beast Within, The Beast in the Cellar, The Fall of the House of Usher, The Burning, The Stuff, The Happening, The Hitcher, The Lost Boys, The Flesh and Blood Show,
I like that one.
The Dark Tower, The Passenger, The Serpent and the Rainbow, The Devil's Rejects, The Devil's Doorway, The Toxic Avenger,
Nice.
Fresh, Hollow Man, The Empty Man, Thinner, The Mist, Annabelle Comes Home, Deadstream, Deliverance, Pet Cemetery, A Bucket of Blood, Theater of Blood, God's Bloody Acre, Slime People, From Beyond, Return to Boggy Creek. When the screaming starts, what lies beneath? Something wicked this way comes. Don't look in the basement. Last stop on the night train. Sometimes they come back. Cellar Dweller, Picnic at Hanging Rock, A Chinese Ghost Story. Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Sometimes they come back again. Monkey Shines, Pumpkinhead, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Misery, Annihilation, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Escape Room, Malignant, Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Little Monsters, It Lives Inside, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. Rosemary's Baby, It Chapter 2, We're All Going to the World's Fair. Resident Evil Extinction, Cue the Winged Serpent, Sometimes They Come Back for More. And when you fart and no shit comes out, The Invisible Man.
Nice.
I think
A lot of good ones in there. A lot to absorb. A lot of levels.
every sequel is fantastic. Just the number 2 added into a title makes it more than doubles the comedy.
Yep.
I got a couple that didn't get on your list there, so I'll see if I can add a couple there. The Belko Experiment,
Nice.
Black Phone, Don't Breathe Part 2, The Conjuring, Scream,
Classic.
Final Destination.
Yep.
And that's about it for me. All right, so Pete, that was good, Brian.
I don't know. It was just his heart. I'm pooped.
Yeah.
Those were pretty solid. I like them all.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep saying
Nice.
things are solid.
Aside from The Mist, yeah.
Well, I know. I'm
The
hoping
Mist.
one day-
I had the Mist.
Just this morning or one of the 5 times? You went number 2, your 5th number 2 this morning.
I had a terrible one today. It was a Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. Well, I got Creature from the Black Lagoon. Also.
Ooh.
How do we forget that one?
Okay, let's actually
Pete,
talk about the movies. Or Pete's got something?
Pete, you got your list?
The only thing I wrote down before I decided to give up was Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, the toilet.
I thought you would say Megan.
That would have been, that's above his pay grade, but that would have been perfect.
Oh man, I take that back. Edit this out. Megan.
I'm not giving you credit for his joke.
Yes.
All right, well, you know who was in Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans?
Nicolas Cage.
So why don't you get that out of the way?
My Nicolas Cage. All right. Leading into this, I am so excited that you're finally eager for my Nicolas Cage updates, Brian. It's taken a while.
I figure we've already wasted 15 minutes without talking about the movies, so if we get everything out of the way, we can just talk about the movies.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure I have plenty of knick-knack facts to sprinkle throughout this movie. But anyway, I got a Cage quiz hot shot this morning for you.
All right.
All right. Or this afternoon, or this evening. I think we're all in 3 different time periods.
None of us are in the afternoon or the evening. It is night and it is morning.
I don't know how science works, but we'll see. Anyway, my Cage quiz for you guys. How many Alien movies has Nicolas Cage been in?
Oh, I know this one. It is once again a Cage's dozen.
It's always the Cage's dozen.
I'm going to say a Cage's dozen -1.
Can you name them then? Mr. I'm too cool for school and I don't want to learn things today?
Movies that Nicolas Cage is in with Alien?
Yes.
Or specifically of the Alien franchise?
The answer, I think, is 0 for that, unless he has some uncredited roles.
It definitely is 0 for that.
So let's go with just Alien movies in general.
Is Cher an alien?
I don't know if the jury ever decided anything on that.
Well, I know Arcadian is aliens.
That's one.
Oh, you have actual answers? That's surprising to me.
What, you think I'm going to mess around with Nick Cage news? This is serious business, buddy.
I don't know what that Drive from Hell is. Those are Hellions, not aliens, right?
Yeah, that's Hellion. Close to Alien, but no. Okay. Unless you count other dimensions, then I have to revise my list because there were a bunch of Dimension movies.
No.
He is Superman in that Flash movie.
I didn't even get that one, but you're right. That counts.
Superman himself is an alien.
That's right. And I'll give you this one for free. In Teen Titans Go to the movies, Nicolas Cage is Superman again. So that's twice he played Superman now.
Nice.
The most famous alien of all.
Yeah, for sure. And the best, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
The nicest.
So that was what? The Arcadian and the 2 Supermans. That's 3. All right, I'm just going to tell you. We got Color Out of Space.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we have Jiu-Jitsu, which is a movie where every 6 years an ancient order of ninja monks get together to fight aliens that attack.
I missed that one.
I need to see this. As soon as I found this, I almost stopped watching A Quiet Place because it seemed way more interesting.
Hey, why were you looking up Nick Cage news while you were supposed to be watching A Quiet Place?
Because it was really quiet and I got bored. And then they would start talking, but they wouldn't talk loud enough, and I had to turn the goddamn subtitles on because these morons won't talk loud. I don't know why.
The movie will end if they keep talking louder, Pete.
Well, we accidentally loop back to actually talking about the movies, which is nice. So, Pete, what did you think of A Quiet Place, Part 1?
Part 1, it was tough because, as I mentioned earlier, Kitty was sitting there watching it with me, and she strongly disliked the movie. It colored the rest of my viewing experience where I said, why are you having a baby? I know you need to replace that first kid. I get it.
Ken, so what happened here was she sees that Emily Blunt is pregnant and she gets mad at Pete and says, why are they so stupid? They can't have a baby whenever they're quiet. You can't keep a baby quiet. How are you going to give birth quiet? And Pete just offhandedly said, well, they have a kid to replace. And Kitty texted me because that wasn't good enough for her. And I'm sitting, it's the middle of the night and I'm just sitting at home and I see, I hate this movie. Why are they so stupid? They can't have a baby. And I wrote back without knowing what he had said. Well, they have a kid to replace.
Not surprising.
So then she started yelling at me again. And I had to turn the movie off and say, all right, I'll have to watch it later.
So your house was not a quiet place?
No. So I guess we all would be dead.
I think so. I think Kitty might be first, Frank. Yeah.
Ken, you like this movie, the first movie, right?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I almost put it on my list. I'm not sure if I put it on my list. It was, I think, an honorable mention from the top 10 list of the 21st century. Um, Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought they did a good job. I mean, it's like the genre has really kind of been done over and over. So like the alien invasion genre is a pretty old one, you know. But I thought it was cool because I usually don't like that genre at all. But I thought they did a great job with this kind of a new spin on the kind of alien or how they perceive things. So yeah, I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I like the kills. I like the. I don't know. I thought it was great. I don't. I'm surprised you didn't like it more. To be quite honest.
He didn't have a great viewing experience to start with.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. No. I saw it in the theater, so that might have been part of it too. It was very, bigger. It's definitely like a movie theater kind of movie. So
Yeah, especially how they use the sound. Like when it's from the little girl's perspective, the deaf little girl's perspective, you get nothing.
yeah,
It'll just go pure
yeah.
silence, which is a bold choice, honestly, because that we have no dialogue, no anything. It's just pure silence. It was pretty cool.
I feel like that's only sometimes though.
Yeah, it's only when it's from her perspective.
Yeah, but then they cut like once they use it for like the jump scare of it, like, oh no, the thing's behind her, and then
Ben Grimm?
yeah, Ben Grimm is hanging out right behind her, all rocky and weird looking, kind of like that was Ben Grimm actually. Their faces when they hear things, that's very rock like as it's separated to listen harder. That's definitely a Ben Grimm kind of thing.
The Thing also an honorable mention on my poo list. I forgot that
That's a
one.
good one. I didn't want to use it because it would have derailed Pete into saying Ben Grimm while I was doing my list.
That's true.
Well, we got it in there.
Always important.
It eventually comes out. That would have been a good one if that was. That would
Oh
have been a good
boy,
one if it was a movie.
That would have been number one on my list had there been a movie called It Eventually Comes Out.
that's the P list.
The nail on the stairs was probably the best nail on the stairs ever. I gotta say.
It
Oh
was
yeah.
great, but you can silently and slowly just bend that thing down.
Yes.
You don't need a hammer.
What?
You can just start with your thumb and every day just push it a little bit and you'll get it down enough.
Oh, what? I forget how it got there. To be
I
honest.
don't remember either, to be perfectly honest. It was just some day or one day the sharpest nail ever popped out of the stair upwards, as nails do.
I think it might have been there just so she could step on it later, if I know how screenwriting works.
I'm pretty sure that is how it works.
I forget. Or wasn't it a trap? Could it have been a trap? No, it couldn't have been a
No.
trap.
These are, in some ways, just the monsters from The Descent, but they're let loose on society, right? Because if
Yeah,
you can stay silent, you can get through The Descent.
yeah, that's true. That's true. They're fast. They're pretty scary. Although that is CG from what I remember. But I guess he was running around in a suit for most of that movie, and they're like, "That's not scary."
An Edgar suit.
And Edgar's,
they're some weird suit, some sort. Yeah, not like a three piece, but yeah, like some sort of weird kind of like uh, just to for them to react to. But then they did CG all those.
it was a lot of CGI. I didn't like it, and they just ripped off the Arcadian monsters, it looked like.
They can't rip something off 4 years before the other movie comes out.
Yeah, but I saw the Arcadian first, so
It's not the
True.
Arcadian.
what is it?
It's Arcadian.
Well, I saw Arcadian first then, so those monsters were already established, and it's kind of cheap to go back and just use it and make their faces different.
I have a question about how they get around. They're walking bare feet because you don't want shoes clopping around. Why can't they wear slippers?
It's a good.
That's the
That's a
first
good question.
the first thing those blind aliens destroyed was all the slippers.
Smart.
Possible. The slipper store. Go with the slipper mart.
What was the alien's point? That was kind of annoying too. I didn't see him ever eat anybody. They just run around throwing people and killing them.
Well, noise disturbs them, so they kill them. But that's the other question I have. Don't the alien, not to be all kiddie about this, don't the aliens themselves make noise?
Yeah, they do.
So shouldn't
right?
they be turning on each other at some point?
Constantly. Everything makes noise. Why aren't they out there destroying everything they can find?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did they kill other animals?
I did not think about this movie at all. Did I?
Yes, they kill other animals.
'Cause I walked into it, right, like after I left, I think some of the action scenes. I think Krasinski directed this, right?
Yes.
Jim from The Office. Yes.
Yes.
He did a pretty good job with all the action stuff. Like it was very tense. I didn't care. I got tired after a certain point of, Oh no, I have to be quiet while various loud things that I would normally be loud at have to happen. Oh, I stepped on a nail. Oh, I have to give birth. I'm like, ugh, just I'm over this. It seemed a one-trick pony. Like, let's be quiet again.
It was, but I liked how they did it. They came up with a lot of interesting new ways to get some jump scares with just sound or with how fast those things would move through frame. Like it was done well, really well done. You had to create a whole world to do it. That's the problem, is that there's going to be flaws in the world, but the actual meat of the scary part worked really well, I thought.
Well, let me ask Pete a question. Pete, does Kitty get angry at you if you make too much noise?
You know, I honestly never thought to wonder what she thinks.
But does she get angry at herself if she yells at you? That's my question.
No, but she weirdly moves like a ghost. Like I'll just turn around, she's there, and then I scream. It's terrible.
Sometimes she's got boobs, and then that's bad.
She
That's
did that
terrifying.
once.
Yeah.
She just appeared. I turned around and right, bam! I dropped my plate of spaghetti.
Now, I want to read my entire note on the Emily Blunt character being pregnant because I can't put it in better words than what I wrote as I was watching it. Why are they having unprotected sex when they know noise kills? Pull out, Jim. I guess because they lost a kid. But come on, man, or come on, woman, and avoid this mess altogether.
That's your
Yeah.
narration as you do things.
That was what I wrote during the movie.
Okay.
Now, Pete, after all of the frustration of these children trying to get their family killed, would you sacrifice yourself to save these children?
Again, I'd be dead immediately.
Well, put yourself in a world where you could survive to day 472. That does sound unlikely.
I could do it.
Day 472, you say. So that's like,
Okay, just
That's
no,
like-
no, give up on it.
5 years
Nope.
after they take
Incorrect.
a
Just
couple
a
of
year
weeks.
and some change there.
It's like a year and 4.5 months.
A year and 4.5 months. A lot can happen in a year and 4.5 months, guys. Let me see. So what am I supposed to be doing now?
Would you sacrifice yourself to save your children?
Now, are we still all alive a year and 4.5 months into this scenario?
How would it work if you weren't?
Well, all of us, I mean. Is Kitty still around? Because we'd have to get like insulin and stuff.
No, Kitty played with a toy with the batteries in it, and she got scooped off day one.
she probably had it coming, according to her rules.
Yes, so she had it coming. So it's just you and the two kids, and they get themselves trapped in a car.
We're trapped in a car now.
They're going to get murdered by the least effective alien who can do anything but can't figure out how to get inside this car. Would you Jim yourself?
Why don't I just stay in the car until it gets bored and goes away?
Well, if you saw the movie, you're not in the car. The kids are in the car.
Well, the kids are safe, so what am I doing?
They're not safe. He's going to get in the car eventually.
No, he's not. You just told me he can't get in the car, and I don't think I've ever seen one of those things get into a car now that you bring it up. I don't know why they didn't just live in cars, make it like a Mad Max kind of thing where they always travel in their cars, the giant bug things bouncing off. Oh, imagine you hit one, it'll smash on the windshield like a bug.
I'll give you that they seem befuddled by door handles, but eventually he keeps banging through the glass. He's going to get in.
Don't they have to sleep or anything? That's another thing. I didn't just,
This is a long way around to say you're not going to sacrifice yourself for your children.
well, that's
Sounds like
not
I sleep or
option
something.
one. Yeah, they do have to sleep. I'm looking at the weighted out scenario.
Option one. Okay, what's option one, Pete? What's
Option one is to wait it out and see if it gets bored and wanders away. Option two, throw a rock or something like as far away as I can, which I admit is probably going to be pretty close, so it's not going to give me a lot of distance.
You'll probably hit the car, Pete. Let's be honest.
Right. But then maybe it'll get confused and go like, where'd that come from? But then I can pick up other rocks, or I can pick up sand that I had for some reason, and I
Or
keep dragging
corn.
it around.
They had a big corn silo.
Oh, yeah. Didn't they drown one of those things in the corn? Because I heard that can happen.
It can happen.
Children of the Corn, too.
That'd been funny
Yeah.
to put on my list. I read all about that corn stuff after the movie because I was curious about it. So I Googled it, and Wikipedia told me it happens more often than I thought.
Yeah, I knew that for some reason. I maybe I was told never play in corn, even though I didn't live anywhere near corn. Or maybe it's just natural fear of corn from those movies.
I had cousins that were distant cousins that were farmers, and we would go out there once every 10 years. And they had a silo, and yeah, they're like, yeah, you can't go up there. Can't go up there. You can drown in the corn or whatever the hell it was they were storing up there.
Yep. No.
Yep, true story.
recognizing that A Quiet Place is not a comedy, I do feel like they missed a big opportunity before the alien comes and gets John Krasinski for him to turn to the camera and give that Jim look to the camera right before the alien gets there. Like, because, listen, it's supposed to be an emotional moment, but it would have brought the house down. They would have gotten a standing ovation.
I never saw The Office. I didn't know where he was from. He was like the American Office. I saw the British one at Pete's House actually, but I
Oh
never saw
yeah.
the American Office. Yeah,
Well, he played Tim.
Tim. Yeah, I've seen him in like memes, memes, or videos or something. I've seen The Office on YouTube, but
You teach English over there, right?
um, I try to. You know what it is? It's really about conjugating your verbs, Brian.
I
That's
see.
the key. You just got to conjugate the verbs.
I saw this movie when it came out, and when they were making a sequel, I was excited specifically because of how this movie ends. It ends teasing you that you're going to go from alien to aliens,
That's exactly what I thought.
and then that doesn't happen. And when you get to 2, I was very annoyed that it wasn't Emily Blunt going around murdering aliens, which is what I really wanted, because the first movie ends with her so badass, and I'm ready for it.
Right. I 100% agree. I was going to say I like the action sequences, and the ending makes you think it's leading into an Aliens 2, and I kind of like that. The first movie in these things should introduce the alien, get you used to it. Then you can go, oh, now we fight, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But instead we get a woman who's just stepped on a nail and given birth, doing all of the things she did, which seems very unlikely. And I have a lot of problems with part 2 as well. And Kitty wasn't even around for part 2. But boy, oh boy, what a bad start to that movie.
I like that it was in Buffalo.
Yeah, I liked those in Buffalo, too.
That was the only good part, honestly. There was so much Buffalo stuff going on. Like you
Wait.
could look around.
The start of that movie is a flashback
What was the flashback?
to day 1.
They like Adam and Eve?
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
What if first there was light? I don't know the Bible so good. No, it was Adam and Emily. No, it was Jim and geez, I don't know their name. What were their names in this movie? Emily Blunt and the guy from The Office.
It
And
doesn't
then their
matter.
kids.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but they have names.
You can't say them.
Well, I know. So that means names are even more important to remember.
She said her now dead husband's name a bunch of times in the second movie, and I genuinely don't know what it was, and I'm not sure they ever said it in the first movie.
I don't think they said it in the first movie. His name was Lee, though.
Oh, there you go. Did you look that up?
No, I saw this movie like 40 minutes ago. I remember some stuff.
That sounds unlikely. The second movie does give us a pre-Oppenheimer Emily Blunt and Cillian Murphy.
Oh,
So Oppenheimer, both a prequel to Godzilla -1 and a sequel to A Quiet Place 2.
which is a prequel.
No, it's a flashback at the beginning. We went over this.
Yeah, but that's still a prequel. It's a mini prequel.
There's a prequel coming out this week. That's why we're doing this episode.
Really?
Yes.
What's the prequel called?
Quiet Place Day 1.
But we already saw that movie.
We saw snippets of that family's struggle during Day 1. This goes back to the Diamond Hindu character they meet on the island in part 2.
But he's dead.
That's why it's a prequel, Pete.
It's a flashback.
Well, prequels are movie-long flashbacks.
I'm so confused about what this was. So Emily Blunt's not there?
No, this is a different
Nope.
part of the world.
And it all takes place on day 1?
And it's going to be in New York.
I cannot promise you that the day will not turn to the second day at any point in the movie.
Well, then I already got problems with this movie.
Because this is a
It could
Crow
be-
problem.
Pete, it could be a year later. You never know.
Well, then you need to put that in the title, or at least don't give me a time frame in the title, because then I have expectations.
Pete, I promise you this movie will start with the title card that says Day 1. And if it changes to Day 2 or 3 or any other day, they will tell you with the title card that happens, because that happens in each of these movies.
Okay, all right then. I can handle. I'm going to go in with an open mind. Although, as soon as you get out of that, you're in the flashback, right? In this Quiet Place 2, if
Yeah.
that's what you really want to call it. The kid, the little kid, the boy child who didn't get eaten or just killed, and then a little cross got put up on a bridge for him. That kid was like bulked up big. I'm looking at him and I'm like, ooh, this is Day 1, which is like a year and 4.5 months ago, and he's bigger than he ever was. And then they show the girl, whatever her name was, and she's bigger too. So I got problems immediately.
Do you know the phrase artistic license?
No, but I have an electrical license.
Have you ever heard the phrase suspension of disbelief?
I've been suspended from things a lot, and I've had accounts suspended for insufficient funds.
I do believe that.
I believe that as well. I think if you're going to be as specific as to the day count, though, Pete does bring up a good point. You know what I mean? Like, you can
See,
only take
Brian?
artistic license so far, right? I mean, you got a day counter. You know, it's not like 364 to 365. It's more like 465 to 1,200. It's a big jump.
I think they're actually going to make a proper sequel to this at some point too.
A sequel to what?
A Quiet Place 2. No, I read that they were.
Really?
Yeah, because John Krasinski produced this one, maybe the new one,
Right.
and he worked on the story, or at least is getting credit for it because he created the characters. But he's still in. I think he's still going to go out and direct a third one. So now those kids are going to be monstrous.
That makes no sense. They better tell me exactly how far in the future they are.
I promise you, they will.
All right, it better be logical too.
Well, the second movie, I don't know how to put this. When you watch the first movie, the son's kind of an annoying character. In the second movie, I just wished he got eaten the entire movie. He was the worst, to the point where when he gets his hero moment at the end, because you're supposed to see that these kids were raised good and they're all ready for this world, I was like, I wish he wasn't. I wish that. Did you ever see Stand By Me, where Will Wheaton has the dream after John Cusack dies, his brother, and his father looks at him and says, "It should have been you"? That is how I felt about this older son when the younger son gets swept away, because he is horrible. Like the daughter, great. Love her character in both movies. That older brother, oh my God, I hate him.
Okay, so you're on the kiddie side of child murder. I see.
Hmm.
That being said, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
God, I wish
the
that,
worst.
Jesus Christ. And I like not having dead children.
Yeah, it's less paperwork.
Yeah.
Mostly.
I gotta say, I didn't love the second one as much as the first one, but I thought it was a good, it was a good sequel because it's a hard one to follow because all of your surprise, all the surprise of the aliens and all that is gone, all the novelty is gone. So I thought it was a nice sequel. It wasn't quite as good as the first one, but I think this third one's going to be, I don't know, it's the director of Pig. I forget his name, but
Yep.
I know that it's the guy who did Pig.
Nicolas Cage.
Nah, yeah, we wish. But I think it's going to be a lot more CGI than even the
Sure.
first one. It's gonna be crazy.
That's my problem. I liked it. I really think the creatures were cool. I like how they were used, like you were saying, Brian. New ways to use the jump scares with the silence, like silence as your fear factor. But I wonder a lot how that CGI is going to look in a couple of years, because there were certain parts where it looks bad now. And I think it looked the best. I don't remember which movie, but when you see the dead creatures, it's clearly all practical, and I thought they looked way better just laying there dead in pieces than the CGI ones. So another ding against it. I don't think it's going to hold up well.
Okay. I enjoyed the prequel part of part 2 the most of part 2.
Yeah.
That opening scene was fun because it was so different than the original, because you got to see actual mayhem.
It was the baseball game, right? They started
Yeah.
the baseball game.
Just the way they're driving, the cameras work as he's driving through the streets, as the monsters are popping out and cars are getting flipped over. That was a lot of fun. And I'm assuming that this new one, day one, since it's taking place during the outbreak, will be a lot more of that slowly devolves into the silent sneaking movie. So I think it can work because it's going to have probably more energy than these other two did.
Right. This might be the aliens that we wanted here. Like Aliens Part 2. Well, you know, the sequel to Aliens.
They won't know how to fight them at all, though.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep, you're right.
What I wanted was the badass gun-toting character blowing the heads off aliens. That would have been the most fun that part 2 could have been. You could have given me that for 90 minutes and I'd have been like, great sequel.
I would have even allowed the woman who just stepped on a nail and then gave birth and all of the other stuff. She would be allowed to do that if they had done that. Instead,
well,
no.
She'll be happy to know a man is giving her permission.
Well, I guess so. Well, she has no man to run her life now.
Oh, no.
She's free. She's free, Brian. She's free.
The man who wrote it down on the piece of paper for her to do it.
Yeah, he directed a movie and cast his wife in a movie and told her to shut up for now the whole time.
He loved it.
Holy cow.
Best idea ever.
I'm not wrong. He's like, I need a woman to keep her mouth shut. I'm going to cast my wife.
Boy, she sure has been talking a lot. Hey, you want to be in a movie, honey?
She's great. I love Emily Blunt, and she's really good in these movies. And she's, I think, the best part of them, to be honest with you, because
Yeah, she is very good.
you don't get a lot of, like, I think, really talented actors in horror movies a lot, obviously. And it really raises the game when you get. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o is going to be in day one. That's why I have a lot of hopes for it too, because she's tremendous, and Diamond Hinju too. Like these are great actors. So I get and Cillian Murphy. Like they cast really good people.
But I feel like horror movies are getting a lot higher caliber actors who are taking part lately. And I mean, part of it, I don't know how far back it goes, but Cillian Murphy is a guy who has been doing horror for a while.
He was nobody when he made 28 Days Later.
Okay, but he hasn't run away from it.
No, he's going to go back and do another 28 Days Later movie.
He's fine with where he got his start. I think he likes the genre. He enjoys it.
Now, the difference with that one specifically is that it was made by Danny Boyle, who is an acclaimed director. That's, there's always those prestige ones, but this wasn't made to be like, it was a giant hit, but it wasn't really made to be a prestige thing. It's made to be just a fun B movie with a different take on it. So, I mean, here's what I mean. If John Krasinski didn't write and direct this movie, Emily Blunt's not starring in this movie, is what I'm trying to say. You can get your wife to do it. I don't think she's taking this role if it's just made by a B movie director. It's made by her husband. So that changes the game a little bit.
That's true. So by association, you get kind of an upgrade a little bit in terms of acting in general.
Yeah.
But I think also with movies, actors want to still be in movie theaters, and you get horror movies that are still more apt. They're better to watch in movie theaters in general. So I think if you watch like romantic comedies, you're not seeing as many of those come out in general. Like, I don't know, at least not here. Here we're getting action, we're getting horror movies, and then whatever else is big at the time for whatever reason, Oppenheimer, that kind of thing. But horror movies are not really going away at all in terms of the release of them. It seems like, of anything, they're probably going up. I mean, they're year round. Summer's going to have a bunch of them.
Yeah, what I think happened was that the streamers are always looking for original stuff. So they go and they say, well, what people want to watch is romantic comedies. And so we'll make those. And Netflix especially is always like, let's get a star and put them in some terrible sci-fi movie and people will watch it.
Yeah.
And what happens with the theaters is, well, they lose out bidding to a lot of movies for these romantic comedies and stuff. But you get one like Anyone But You, and it comes out in theaters and it's a massive hit. So it's just that half the other ones, they get outbid by Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime. And then with horror, nobody wants to use it. And then everybody forgets it's successful every time. So they put it in theaters and they all become hits. They all outkick what they project every time. And then they remember, oh yeah, we can have horror movies in theaters. So eventually the streamers might figure that out, except for October, and just start putting horror movies on streaming. That'd be wonderful. But they mostly just pack it all into October. And last year they didn't.
Yeah, that's right. But a good amount this summer, I think, though. A decent amount in the summer coming out. Like you guys did your list a few episodes ago about all the stuff that was coming out this summer.
Yep.
And so there's a good amount even coming out in the summer before October. And then they have the Thanksgiving one too. I don't know. I think it's you don't really see it because I never really watch horror movies at home. I really just go out to see them personally.
I'll just watch
like true crime. Yeah.
Well, just this. Let's see. Like we're recording this on a Sunday. It's going to come out in a couple days. Last week, The Exorcism came out in theaters. This week, A Quiet Place Day 1 comes out in theaters. Next week, Maxine comes out in theaters. So we're right here in the summer. Every week's got a pretty big one.
Is this real time or is this Brian's fast forward fake you out time?
No, this podcast is actually coming out the week we record it for a change.
Oh wow, okay. Pete, did you hear that, Pete?
I did.
It's the real date and time.
Yeah, Pete gets mad at me because I don't start all these by holding up a sign that says today is Wednesday, whatever day it is.
It's very annoying.
And like Dateline NBC.
Luckily, I don't ever listen to these, so it doesn't bother me that much. I get annoyed right at the start of these, and then I forget about it.
Well, Cillian Murphy plays the reluctant hero in part 2, although he technically doesn't really solve anything or ever really accomplish anything, except for like getting to an island so that the little girl can do some stuff.
What happened to his kids? Did they get eaten?
Of course they got eaten.
I thought you said the bugs didn't like noise.
Yeah, well, they talk too much.
Well, then why'd they get eaten?
Because they
I don't like
too much.
This movie. I don't like this movie.
What?
I think Pete likes noise. Pete likes a cacophony.
Cacophony?
Yeah.
Cacophony?
Maybe.
Cacophony? You teach English over there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a caca. We haven't gotten the cacophony yet.
Cacophony.
Now,
Whatever you said.
Do you need me to come over there and teach these kids?
Definitely not. You don't want. You don't want to do this. You don't want to live in this world.
I took that more as a personal, definitely not. You cannot come here. No one wants you here. Stay where you are.
I'm looking up. No, no, that's
Well,
not what I meant.
they shot part 2 for 47 days in and around Western New York.
I know. Did you guys see the Grand Island Bridge in all its glory?
I think I saw my old house.
You guys want to guess which bridge it was? Because I don't know the answer.
The Grand Island Bridge.
But there's two of them. There's the North Bridge and the South Bridge.
Oh, here's how you say cacophony, guys.
Cacophony.
Oh, cacophony. You're right. I think it was a mix, quite frankly.
I think it was the way Ken said it. I changed my answer.
You have to do this every time.
Apparently.
As I said to Pete's daughter the other day, when Pete's like, yeah, she reads at a 7th grade level already or whatever, 8th grade, whatever it was. And I said, hey, that's what I read at too. I write at a scholarly level, but I read at about a 5th grade level.
I speak at a 3rd grade level, but I understand at a 1st grade level.
Shot in Western New York. Did it make you feel homesick, Ken?
I recognize just I know some of it was like out in like Elma or Elmira, so I didn't really
Elma, yeah.
Elma, yeah, and I heard they didn't mow their lawns for like a couple of weeks to shoot it.
Sure.
What I mean the Bethlehem Steel part, I like that. That was in the dirt field, so that's pretty familiar with that. And then obviously the Peace wasn't the Peace Bridge, Pete, that you said it was the Grand Island Bridge.
Grand Island Bridge.
But we don't know if it was the North or South yet.
I'm pretty sure it was the North Bridge because I feel like there's more stuff on the south side, but maybe not. Ooh, no. I'm gonna have to go up and take one of those bridges and see what I see while I watch a movie while I'm trying to drive over the bridge to line up the landscapes.
Go see my dad when you get off that bridge. Just keep going and stay up there. You go visit my dad. Say hello.
Anytime I wander through way up there in the North Country, I wonder if your dad's gonna jump out from somewhere and like, hey Pete, how's it going?
Hey Pete,
how you doing? Remember me?
Give you an drop an Encyclopedia Britannica off in your.
He did that. He found out where I lived once, Brian, and I came home and there was a giant the New Yorker compendium of like whatever those comics the New Yorker had, just sitting on my doorstep, like upstairs. Like I lived in an apartment that was like up a set of stairs, and it was there. Like, he went into my building. True story.
Okay.
And he only knew you by name. I don't think he ever spoke to you.
No, I don't think so.
He knew him by reputation.
Yeah.
That's how most people know me.
Oleksenko is an easy name to find in the phone book, no matter where you are. Whoops! You can edit that out.
No, there's only one, and I think it's very much only this because they changed the spelling whenever my people came over from Brazil, and what did they do? The only other person one time I looked up was some Ukrainian porn site. So I'm not quite sure what that means, but that's the only other time I've seen my last name.
You're telling me they changed the spelling to make it easier?
Yes. They thought that putting an X in the middle of it would be the easy solution.
It is spelled exactly as it sounds.
That's true, but no one recognizes that.
Just like cacophony.
Yeah, it's that silent X.
In cacophony?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do you have an AW sound where no is? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, why, Brian?
It's a muted O. We'll just say it's a muted O.
Mm-hmm. Brian, you write at a scholarly level.
What happened?
You write at a scholarly level. Explain yourself.
I didn't hear the question.
Why do we have an AW sound where there's an O?
And a silent X.
No, there's no. That's your name, P. That's your name.
My name is Silent X? Maybe I have a chance in this quiet place universe. I'm going to make it after all.
I know the answer because the English language is the most bastardized language in all of the world. It just takes things from other languages and puts them in. We have more letters and more words than the alphabet. So, and the sounds of words, like in Japan, as Ken probably knows, vowels always sound the same. Always.
I did not know that.
it's always okay. Well, it's always pronounced the same. In English, you can see two words that are spelled exactly the same, and for some reason they're pronounced wildly differently. It doesn't make any sense. Our language is broken and stupid.
Well, no, it's a smart language because it absorbs a lot of words, and it's easy to it's phonetically spelled out, as opposed to like a lot of languages that are not, well, a few languages that are not phonetically spelled out, which is why you can't spread it around. That's why you can spread English so easily, is because it absorbs a lot of words, and it's also, the phonics aren't perfect, obviously, but you're right. It is because of it comes from another language. Anybody want to guess what language?
Cacophony.
Yeah,
French.
French is what I was going to say too.
nice. You originally Greek, but yeah, I went to French. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. It's a Greek word that traveled through France, and then we take it from France. We're already getting a third-hand version of a word, and we're like, that's what it is. So
Brian just wants to learn Japanese because he's tired of reading the subtitles and the hentai he watches. So he's been learning this for a while now, and he's trying to teach me. I don't know why.
I'm still on the same level I was at before.
Are you?
I'm a very slow learner.
You know about the vowels? That's pretty good.
I do know about the vowels, so I know how to pronounce the
Yeah.
words when I see them, but I don't know what any of them mean.
Let me ask you this though, Brian, because they have they use some Chinese characters, and they have their other
Yeah,
they have
they
two
have
other
three
written
different alphabets.
systems.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Two. Is it three alphabets or two alphabets?
it's three.
And then the Chinese.
It's almost impossible to understand because
It's hard, man. I looked at a book. I was like, nah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you can learn the letters, but like I'm never going to get to the place where I can write the letters. It's never going to happen.
I don't know. I
It
don't
sounds
know.
like you should because
Yeah.
it's like 22 letters, so you should be able to just figure that out and memorize 22 things. But they're all like, it's not like just one continuous, here's an A. It's like, oh, I have to put a top on it, and this one has a slash this way, and then two dots, and it's like, I'm never going to remember all this.
Oh yeah.
How do they make the A that the Fonz does?
They don't have it. They have to.
They don't have it.
A.
That's what I mean. They don't
It's
have
a sentence. It's a sentence.
What they do
Happy Days
is,
never took off in Japan.
if they're taking words that they don't have in their language, of which there are many, they'll just use them in English. So you'll hear people
They do.
talking
They use the
Japanese
English
in the
words.
middle of the sentence. They'll just bust out three English words because they don't have
Coca-Cola.
them. Yeah, and they'll say it exactly the way we say it, even if those sounds don't actually exist in their alphabet.
Just like we do with rendezvous and any language we feel like taking from. We don't make it our own. We go, we're just going to use that word. I get it.
It's true, but our language is so sloppy to begin with that it's understandable. But then you get Japanese, and it's all so tightly put together, and then in the middle they'll just throw in like Coca-Cola, and it's like, yep, that's right,
Yeah.
because it just sounds so sloppy because our language is bullshit.
What is it? Domo Marigato, Mr. Roboto, or something like this?
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot, yeah.
I used to say that after every episode. They
No.
don't use Mister. They use San.
San,
It'd be
yeah.
Robot San.
Robot San. Robot San. I don't think Styx knew that.
I almost wanted to give up immediately because the first day I was trying to learn it, they were like, well, there's no word for he or she. It's all the same word. And so is it. So I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to know what people mean when they say things? And they're like, you just infer it. I'm like, that is very difficult. And it comes at the end of the sentence, which makes it even fucking crazier.
Yeah, that is weird.
It's
Chinese
super
is
weird.
the same way with he, she, but the written form, they do have the differentials, but obviously you're speaking.
Yes.
You have to know the context a lot, but
Yeah.
You know what?
just
I changed my mind. I want the Quiet Place universe to happen now. You guys are talking way too much about language, and I'm over it. I'm ready for it. Bring them on. I'll be quiet. I promise.
you don't like the cacophony, Pete?
Oh, the cacophony is killing me, you guys. The aliens are coming. They're come. Do they come? Do we ever see those aliens have sex? Why are they still around?
This was actually the answer to Kitty's biggest gripe. The aliens are what impregnated Emily Blunt.
No kidding. I didn't see any of the director stuff, and I haven't read anything about these movies. Although I gotta say, and I have one, so I wonder if you guys do. Where did Buffalo look cooler, in this movie or in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Out of the Shadows, or Out from the Shadows, or something about the shadows?
Well, that movie, you see the 33. They're riding down the 33. They don't bother to change the signs. It's just the 33. And it looked pretty cool. And in this movie, I would argue, we look like jokes because these are real standing buildings they're using that have just been lost to time that we never fixed up, knocked down, did anything with. I read that Krasinski got there for location scouting and was like, we can't even use all of the things we found. that make this look like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And he's just like, we have to shoot here. It's billions of dollars worth of production that we don't have to pay for. We just walk into this fucking Bethlehem steel building that's been sitting here for 30 years.
It's like, people still live around here? It's like, yeah, it's a lot like A Quiet Place.
That's the funniest thing about when you watch the movie. When you live here and you're just looking at like what's behind someone's backyard. Somebody, that's not a joke. On every just out of frame of everything you see in that movie, there's just kids playing in their yard, because that is what it looks like down there.
And Buffalo Bill's flags just everywhere.
Exactly, still there.
It's one of the growing list of places, movies that realize that Buffalo has certain things to offer that you can't get anywhere else without paying hundreds of millions of dollars for building sets and things. You have to build all that. You don't have to build shit. Just walked in and shot it. Guillermo del Toro uses all the architecture downtown. He's done it like 2 or 3 times because he's like, you can't find this anywhere. You have to computer generate it, because we're so stuck in different time periods.
Because we never did anything. That's why you never do anything. You just sit and wait, and eventually you're going to be cool again.
It's all coming around, because here's what I know. It was in the 80s all week. And everyone's like, oh, the Buffalo weather's terrible. Well, guess what? The summer's going to be all in the 80s and 90s. And the winters are getting shorter, rougher, but shorter. True. Because they start later and they end earlier. But we get really bad weather in the middle because the lake never freezes anymore. And for example, the lake is at its highest it's ever been this early in the year. And they have data that goes back almost 100 years. It's already 72 degrees, the lake. Which is insane for this time of year. And
not great either.
Just to point out, in canon, when we're recording this, what time of year it is. The lake is 72 degrees. It was just 90 degrees in Buffalo 3 days in a row, and they haven't given out the Stanley Cup yet.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
That's going to happen by the time this podcast comes out, but it hasn't happened yet. So we're out there. My pool was at 87 degrees yesterday, and it's like...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it is, except when you remember you live in Buffalo. It's not supposed to be that hot.
It sounds like it is here. No, I know. That's how it is here right now. But we're humid, though. We're always humid.
We're supposed to be this hot. We're hip. We're happening. We're the new thing in school. We've got 2 film studios now, I think. 2.
Everything comes around. Really? The fact that we never cleaned up or gentrified our area means that now we have retro stuff that everybody wants to shoot on. And the fact that the weather is broken everywhere. The once... damned weather of Buffalo suddenly becomes some of the best climate you have in the entire world. So enjoy your flooded coasts and your 150 degree temperatures down there, because we'll be sitting in our 90 degrees complaining about it.
Yeah.
Not if it's A Quiet Place.
What other movies? Because I know Poultrygeist, we talked about that last week. That was shot in Buffalo a long time ago, but so is Buffalo 66. And there's probably been, they got 2 film studios now over there. I haven't been back in a while.
I believe so. The one that did this movie was Buffalo Filmworks, and I can't remember. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, we got 2. We might have as many as 20. I'm not sure.
Oh, Nightmare Alley was great.
Nightmare Alley shot here. He shot something else here too. I don't remember what. There was 2 independent movies a couple years ago that came out. One was called Buffaloed, and one was called Cupid, and they both shot here. I haven't seen either of them, but I know they shot here. And there was that movie, The Savages, with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Laura Linney. That shot here a while back.
That was a while back.
It was, but it was like one of the first ones that came through.
Yeah, that was Jim Carrey's movie. That one where he's God.
They didn't really shoot
Bruce
it here.
Almighty.
They didn't? I thought they did.
They shot some exterior stuff, but they didn't really shoot it here. It's set here.
Well, I'm never going to watch that again, and I only saw it the first time in the theater. And oh boy, I forgot about your stance on Jim Carrey, Ken.
Oh, I was, I think I made it clear. That was just to get out of all U.S. people. We could find lots of U.S. people that would be, disgraces to the U.S. I just wanted to get somebody from elsewhere.
Representation.
So I landed on Jim Carrey. I don't have a personal vendetta against Jim Carrey.
It's all professional.
It seems like you do.
I'm just saying he's a little... I think he is like the president of the Satanist Society or something. That's
but
kind
we
of
like
weird.
the Satanists. They're the good guys now.
Yeah, they're the good guys now.
What are you talking about? What's up is down? What's going on with you guys?
Do you want me to either choose to worship the Satanists or with the Christians?
I'm not asking you to worship anybody, Brian. Nobody's asking you to worship somebody.
They are the literal, and this is maybe the only time that's been true, lesser of 2 evils.
Wait a second. Okay. Okay. I don't know what to say.
You know how many people have died in the history of the world for Satanism? Like 0. You know how many have died for Christianity? Like all of them.
You know how many
I
people
don't
have died?
know.
Total?
Yeah,
I probably do.
I think
a
Brian
cage's
has got a
dozen.
clock.
A cage's
He's got a
dozen.
clock. A cage's dozen. Cage's dozen.
All
Cubes.
right. Well, I can't believe you guys didn't ever ask me a single thing about my credit check because there were credits and I checked them. But before I do that, Michael Bay, I think he was produced. He somehow was involved with these movies because his name popped up. And doesn't he? Everything have to be an alien for him? I remember that. I remember when he did the Turtles franchise and he was like, "I'm going to make them aliens."
They didn't end up being aliens, though, I don't think.
No,
People got mad and he changed it.
yeah, about time he listened to someone. But I thought aliens were like his jam. He likes to do everything with aliens.
Well, he did Bad Boys. Those aren't aliens. He did The Rock. Those aren't aliens. There's no actual aliens in Armageddon, despite the fact they go into space. Pearl Harbor didn't have aliens. I never saw The Island, but I assume it had no aliens.
Keep going.
7 Transformers movies, all with aliens.
There we go. He likes them aliens.
Those are the ones he directed, though. The ones he produced, maybe it's true.
Oh, okay. Those are, yeah, he likes those. He made 7 alien movies, Ken. This guy's got a hard on for aliens.
That's what I hear. I hear. That's the lesser of two evils, though.
Anyway, what do we got? What do we got here? You know, there was not much going on in the first one. It was kind of sad. The only thing really, Paramount really, really, really wants us to know they did not receive any payment or any other form of consideration or enter into any agreement for the depiction of tobacco products.
It sounds like they did.
Well, they're
I mean,
telling me they didn't, like a lot.
it just sounds like that says it all to me.
Methinks the studio doth protest too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never seen that one before, so
You just made Brian light a cigarette right now.
It's a cigar, I think.
He just heard it. He lit a cigar right after. He's like, "What?"
When you can bust out
Good
a
idea.
little twist on some Shakespeare, you need to have a smoke.
a victory smoke. All right, what else? So part two had a lot more happening. It was pretty cool, but my notes are such a mess I can't read any of it. All right. So this was confusing to me in part 2. Also, they make us again very, very aware that they did not receive payment or any other consideration for the depiction of tobacco in part 2. But there were 4 persons on this set, but there were only 2. There were 2 4-persons. So then I happened to notice there was Goldroom Warehouse 4 persons, again only 2. There's something going on here.
Conspiracy. That's a conspiracy.
It is.
Conjoined twins.
Well, the two 4-persons in the gold room are both named Robert. The 2 Bobs, I've started calling them as I try to figure out this mystery. Because on top of that, we had, where is it? Oh, there were construction 4-persons. 11. We've gone way past what the 2. I don't know what the standard is, but 4 persons are not the numbers that we think they are. I don't know if it's...
Those were all little people.
Oh boy.
What
else? No. Scenic 4 persons? 6. I don't understand. This is the most confusing credit check I've ever been forced to sit through.
Perhaps I can help you with this. How do they spell 4-person?
I didn't check. Hey, but more importantly, do you know how many biscuit techs were there?
I hope 4. For the payoff, I hope 4.
5 or 3 or 3. I can't read my writing, but there were biscuit techs on this set. Biscuit techs.
Dude, that's how I want to get into movies. I want to break in via biscuit teching. What the? You're yeah. I don't understand. You're like a credits kind of guy, so I'm a little lost on all these 4 people. You're just saying like they're they're in charge of.
I don't know, but there's the wrong number. It's 4 persons, and they list entirely different amounts. I don't understand the rules, and it's kind of crazy because I got it.
It's a Cage's dozen.
It's Cage's dozen.
They're a
Okay.
I didn't realize that
Cage's
was an
dozen.
industry term.
I don't know how we're going to do it, but I've already put in the ledger for next year when Nicolas Cage's birthday episode is, and we're not going to do the same thing we did last year.
What did we do last year?
We did a tournament, and you picked a movie that wasn't in it.
Even I remember that.
And Ken got mad at you because Leaving Las Vegas got beat by The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know why you would be
Yes.
mad.
I'm still upset about it.
We're not going to do the same thing. We're not going to redo it because you'll just pick the last movie you saw. So we already know how that ends. What we're going to do is something centered around some concept of the Cage's Dozen. I haven't figured out what it is yet, but I'll figure it out.
I like it. I like it. The Cage's Dozen. Sounds like a fun game. Sounds like a sex move. I was also thinking, like, how many of these horror movies sound like sex moves, you know? Like Poltergeist or something,
Well,
you know?
Kitty tells me that theirs sounds a lot like A Quiet Place.
I do.
Oh, that was fast.
That's also something she said.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a movie title.
Did we talk about A Quiet Place at all?
I don't know.
I got stumped early on. I don't know why. I just became a blank. I just remember the nail in the bathtub, and that's about it.
I'll tell you
I
why.
got stumped.
Because it didn't make a lick of sense. This whole universe that they exist in, and you're like, you know what? Pete was right, and I guess by association, Kitty was right, because this was not my opinion. This is all Kitty's opinion that has taken over mine from the half hour of these movies she's watched.
Kitty's big one was why don't they live by the waterfall? But I had a conversation with Kitty, and we hashed out why they don't live by the waterfall, so we're good.
Well, why don't they live by the waterfall?
Number one, they live on a farm so they can sustain themselves because they can make their own food, and that's how they're living. Number two,
That makes sense. Yes.
you can't. They're in Western New York, slightly under it, but they're in at least northern Pennsylvania, southern New York. That's not going to work year round. They need shelters, which means they have to build something. And how are they going to do that quietly? How are you going to quietly build a house over there? Number three, and most importantly, if you're trying to raise your kids to understand the rules of this universe, they have to survive and be quiet. Raising them where they can shout is the worst idea you possibly could have.
How about this? How about they build a house right next to Niagara Falls when they move to Buffalo?
That's what I said.
No, you didn't. I just said that.
No, but I said it when you weren't around, and I had the idea first.
He said it when I wasn't
Oh.
around too, so I have no way to back this.
It makes the
up.
most sense, Pete. We're probably right on this one.
Why don't they just live on the Maid of the Mist?
Why not? Why not?
Because
What else is on it?
there's no real food.
They have children.
They
have
probably
children.
got hot dogs on there. I bet they got hot dogs.
It is weird that they lived 400 something days, whatever it was, and never thought island.
Grand Island. They went over the freaking bridge.
Yeah, but then they bring an alien to the island, so that was. I mean, there might be a message there.
Outsiders are bad news.
Yes, exactly. Don't be welcoming as a community.
I still like right next to the falls. Right next to the falls in the park. That's what I like.
Clearly,
That would've been the best.
that was another problem we had with the movie. That's another logical fallacy. Like, we're right there. You're right there.
And there's a snack shack right there. I remember last time I went. They have
Yeah, and
where you can buy snacks.
there's like
Easy.
4 of them now, Ken, and they've got a restaurant that you can go sit in and look over the falls, and that's just on the American side. The Canadian
And a
side's got all the
casino.
hotels and everything. Yeah, there's plenty of places where you could live a normal life because it's so noisy.
For anybody who's never been to Niagara Falls, the way I would describe it is you go to the Canadian side and it's like a theme park of fun and stuff to do. And you come to the US side and there's like a guy in a hot dog cart. And that's all the excitement.
And some gangbangers.
We're a state park. The American side is the state park. It might be the oldest state park in the world. Yes, the oldest state park in the world. I was going to say country, but it would also be the world because it's both at the same time.
Wow.
Mm. Mm.
And those people probably don't even know about the alien invasion.
Right. They've just been going about their normal day-to-day business going, why don't my TV work no more?
Outside of doing this podcast, I think I would survive completely fine in the
I think
post-apocalypse.
Brian would do well.
I go weeks without talking.
Yeah, you would maybe wonder after a while why you hadn't heard from anybody in a while, but it would be a while.
You know, we both have the same thing on this. If I don't hear from you in a few days, I assume that you died. And it's a nice surprise when you didn't.
Mm-hmm. I like it that way. Keep it tricky.
Not my job to go looking for people. Anybody got anything else to say about the Quiet Place movies?
I just got to say this number 3. I'm not holding my breath that it's going to be.
Oh, that would be a good way to survive, though.
Don't.
Hey, why
breathe.
did they keep that baby on oxygen? Were they just going to keep it doped up all its life?
They closed the box on it when they would transport it.
Yeah.
but it seemed to also keep it quiet. When they wanted that baby to shut up, they didn't.
Oh, that baby. Oh, you know what? That baby was dead by the 2-minute mark.
That baby never ate anything either.
Yeah, it's true. And the mother left it.
I left it with the child. My thought was, well, if this mom dies off on her adventure, this kid's going to be left with the baby that he slowly watches die because he has no way to care for it. And what a terrible fate for the boy. But then I remembered I really didn't care for him that much. So not my chair, not my problem.
I thought the baby was going to get got when he left the vault because the kid won't listen to simple directions.
Why did he leave? I don't even know.
Because he heard something, which is the worst reason to leave the vault.
He's like one of those things. He's turning into one of them.
Oh, boy.
I have some hopes for A Quiet Place Day One because, again, I like the cast. I like Lupita Nyong'o a lot. She doesn't do bad movies. I've never really seen her in a bad movie.
Yeah.
She's always good in them. And
Black Panther wasn't very good, though.
the first one or the second one? I thought the first one was really good.
I didn't. I don't know. I only liked the part in Tokyo. I think it was the action scene. But she's good though. Yeah, she was in Us. So
Michael B. Jordan is so good.
Us and what else?
what was he in? I've seen him too. What is Michael B. Jordan in?
I just mean he was Killmonger in Black
He
Panther. He's
was
not in
Creed.
Yes.
Creed in those Rocky
Oh
movies.
yeah.
But not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
old
yeah.
Creed, the younger Creed. He was
Yeah,
also
yeah.
Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four.
That's right.
I think it'd be cool if they got the old Apollo Creed back. That'd be cool.
I got some bad news.
Oh, no.
I got some bad news for you on Carl Weathers.
I just saw him. He was on Arrested Development.
Yeah, that's true. He's still alive as long as you keep watching things out of order.
I just saw him like a few days ago.
He was just in my house.
Yeah.
He's got a stew going.
Pete will never watch A Quiet Place Day One because it won't come back up on the podcast.
Well, when it comes up again for the podcast, I'll be right there. All right, then.
It's very unlikely it comes back up unless the movie's like out of this world great or something. I just don't see why it would come back up.
Or they do a fourth one.
Well, they might, but we've already done A Quiet Place. We're done.
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up.
All right, you can tell me about it. Tell me if they figure out the rules of their own universe.
I will. I'll let you know.
All right, thank you, Ken. I need that kind of update stuff from you. I'm using Kitty's computer, and it's got a pickle on it with Nicolas Cage's face, and it says Pickleless Cage. I wish I could show you this. Pickleless Cage.
Go to scarevalue.com. Come back next week when we're going to do another one of these freer episodes where we talk about multiple movies. And Kitty's going to join us to talk about X and Pearl.
Or don't.
With Maxine coming out.
I don't want to tell you what to do.
Yeah, you say that every time.
Oh, hey, hold on a second. I got something we can do. I watched a foreign movie.
Oh my gosh, you've got a foreign review? It's been so long, I'm so excited. Is it The Exorcism?
No. This is a French movie. And it's kind of like a coming of age movie between an older man and a young boy, and it's very kind
French
of risque,
Kiss.
you know. The older guy. No. He's good guess though, close. But the guy's a scientist, you know, and the boy's sort of an outcast in society. He's also a midget. He's a midget, and he takes these hallucinogenic drugs, I think, because he ends up like kind of like going, like having like sort of a time travel experience, and he ends up almost sleeping
Back
with
to the
his mother.
future. It's Back to the Future.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Back to Le Future.
Yeah.
Is it French because of the two U's?
Because of the pedophilia.
There's no pedophilia in that movie. They're all teenagers.
There's no pedophilia in baseball. There's no pedophilia in baseball, Ken. There's no pedophilia in baseball, Brian.
Man, my little league, it was
with their bat boys and their sticks and their ball handlers. There's no pedophilia.
We didn't have a T for T-ball. I'm just saying we didn't have a T for T-ball in my little league. That's all I'm
I
saying.
like that he knew they were called bat boys, but then he referred to the bats themselves as sticks.
What? That's not right?
See you next week.
Pedophilia, bat boys.